Hello, it's Kevin here. Time for introduction number 73, commentary on your writings. Let's have a look, see what we've got. So for today we've got a two-part question. In many education systems, more academic subjects are being introduced instead of sport and exercise. Okay, that's the context. Two questions: how will it impact the children, and what can be done about it? So, step one, sentence one, when you start writing. Paraphrase, restate the topic. Education systems, schools, introducing more academic subjects, more emphasis being placed on, emphasizing, have been introduced for several ways, but we could do this. Rather than, instead of athletics, physical education, exercise classes, sporting lessons, there's quite a lot that we could use instead of, those, to paraphrase. Now, how will it impact the children? It may contribute to obesity if kids aren't doing sport at school. What can be done? Education authorities and parents should encourage the children to do physical activities outside of school. A couple of examples here. More emphasis is being placed by schools on academic course or courses rather than athletics and physical education, contributing to young students or young children's obesity, pupils, students, children, etc. I suggest that education authorities and parents encourage these children to do physical activities outside of school to solve this problem. Here's another one. Sport and exercise classes at many schools are increasingly being sidelined. That's a very good uncommon phrase, an idiom that you can use, in favour of academic subjects. So, answer question one. I believe that although this will have a negative effect on children's health and social skills, because in my sample essay, which you'll see a bit later, because I'm analysing an essay, a complete essay, one of you sent a complete essay, and I'm going to do an analysis of that. It's for this subject, and I wrote a sample. So you'll see that in the video after this one. So what I say in that one, what impact, I say, well, health and social skills, because if you're in like a team, you learn team-like work and sportsmanship and all this kind of stuff. Its impact might be lessened or reduced by after hours sports clubs or activities. So you'll see when I make video number 2 for this in a bit. So it is true that more academic subjects are being introduced and added to the school curriculum rather than sports and physical activities. I believe this would result in obesity in school children, and that, relative pronoun. Now, school managers, I don't know if you have those, but we usually have head teachers. Usually, they're in charge. We don't have a manager. Head teachers should provide more sports programs or competitions such as marathon running, but when? It would have to be after school, because sports are being pushed out of the curriculum of the organised lessons. So it would have to mention something about after school or something. But apart from that, that's not bad as an introduction. Just watch your preposition and your relative pronouns. Educationalists advocate. No, they don't. Doesn't say anybody about advocating anything in the topic. Doesn't say anything about that at all. Extracurricular activities should be cancelled. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say extracurricular. That means outside of the curriculum. But what this specifically says is, right, more academic subjects are being introduced. So if it's a subject, it's in the curriculum, in the timetable, in the schedule. So it's pushing sport and education out of the lessons, the curriculum. So educationalists doesn't mention anything about those. Doesn't say extracurricular, it's curricular activities should be cancelled. Doesn't say that. And it specifically says sports and physical exercise, which you don't say. This may potentially have enormous impacts, such as what? Students' performance in schools. Well, if it's sport and extracurricular, what are you talking about? And the development of school-age children, I'm talking about physically, mentally, emotionally. And what about question 2? What can be done? What should be done? So this introduction does not work at all. It doesn't say that, it doesn't say that, it doesn't explain anything, and there's no mention of question 2. It's good to include academic subjects of different varieties, but sports and physical activities are also very essential. Okay, well, it doesn't say that either. It says they're being, sports activities are being replaced, so it isn't that it's good. It says in many education or systems they're replacing, so that's not the same thing. The all-round development. In the absence of physical activities, students cannot focus properly, and learning and thinking as a healthy body is a healthy brain. What about question 2? Again, you haven't said. Let's go back. What can be done? You haven't answered both questions. So, in the majority, it doesn't say that. Many is not a majority, not the same thing. Number of academic subjects outweighs the sport and exercise. Situation encourages students to devalue sport, adopt a sedentary lifestyle. Okay. Question 1. To rectify the problem, parents, why are they expected? It would be good if they do, to allot time to take their children to sports clubs. So, let's look at the next one. Currently, many educational policies place too much value, not too many. Much, many, countable, uncountable, on academic courses rather than physical activities. This kind of approach would have detrimental effects on the mind and body of youngsters in terms of learning skills and physical power. You'd have to explain that. I profoundly believe. Why don't you simply say, I think? Enough budget for extracurricular activities such as sports should be allocated to reduce destructive impacts of the sedentary style of living. Well, it's not sedentary style of living because it's only taking place at school. Maybe the kids are very active as soon as they leave school, so you have to work that out in the rest of the essay. Nowadays, it's a common trend that academic subjects, not sciences, are included instead of put into educational centres. You mean schools? Curriculum, rather than sports training courses. Well, it doesn't say are included, they are pushing out the sports, but okay. This development can have a negative influence on potential sport talents. Okay, you'd have to explain what that meant in the essay, in addition to community health in the future. If you mean that kids will be fat and that will affect, them as adults, okay. Now, this last sentence, too complicated. You've got some vocab here that does not make sense. It's not appropriate. However, the modification of focused subjects, which means what? I understand what the individual words mean, but that as a phrase, and modification, what you mean? Changing academic lessons or subjects? I'm not quite sure what that means. To be taught in schools and universities, well, it's only schools. Along with, now this last part, making incentives to be drawn towards such topics. Can you draw an incentive? You can make an incentive, but how can you draw? How can an incentive be drawn towards a topic? What are you talking about? Are you talking about the lessons, the subjects, the academic lessons? Are effective measures to tackle the unpleasant ripple effects? The examiner is just going to say, I have no idea what you are talking about here. We know what the individual words mean, but how that sentence works, it just no idea. Currently, lots of, why you use two words and you can use one, are receiving education in academic courses, not enough in exercise and sports. It is perceived by some. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say anything about some people think, or educationalists. It doesn't say anything about that. If this trend were continue, now, generation of adolescents shall not reach their ultimate goal in life. No, what does that mean? What does that mean? I have no idea. And worse, they would suffer from a plethora of health diseases, or simply of diseases, such as, what you mean, obesity, but no idea what this is talking about. No idea. In order to prevent to prevent what? Reaching goals and diseases, it is suggested making subjects optional and implementing a rudimentary form. A rudimentary form. Again, I understand what the individual words mean, but what that sentence is, what that phrase is implying, I'm not sure. How can you implement a rudiment, and what does a rudimentary form of exercise to each course? What? So, if you've got a history lesson, you jump up and down while reading a textbook. What? So you go into a laboratory for your physics class and you do a handstand? I have no idea what that actually means. Nowadays, schools in which physical activities are being replaced with theoretical lessons, well, it's academic. It doesn't necessarily imply it's theoretical. History is not a theory. It's, in part, it's a teaching of facts, factual events and possible interpretations, but that's not theoretical. Neither is chemistry, physics, etc. So it's not quite the same thing as academic. Not only could the lack of sports activities lead to pupils being bored, well, okay, I'm not sure what boredom's got to do with it. It might endanger their body's health, well, their health, over the long term. This could be addressed. Now, I don't know what a quarter group. Now, I understand what quarter means and group means, but I don't know what these two words mean in this expression. A quarter group exercising? No idea what that means. Before starting lessons or encouraging students to attend sports clubs after school. I understand that. A lot of education systems place a premium on core subjects rather than physical activities. Well, we don't place a premium. That would mean that they are more important, or they place more importance on. But it doesn't say that they're more important. It simply says they're introducing more. It doesn't necessarily mean the same. To place a premium means to put an additional value, to make something more important. It doesn't strictly say that. It doesn't strictly say that. It simply says that they're introducing more. Physical education lessons. Now, it appears, well, it either does or it doesn't. This can cause, or this could cause, obesity in, I missed it here, sorry, right. A number of education systems place a premium, okay. Now, can cause fat accumulation. So, by that I take it you mean obesity. And managers, we don't usually have managers, we have educationalists, we have head teachers, but we don't usually have managers. Allocate funds. Now, if you've got to, it's usually to and infinitive, to provide, not providing a participle form. Many educational providers, not necessarily the same thing as schools or institutions, place a high value, which is kind of the same thing, place a premium, place a high value. Now that's about making something more important, but it's not strictly the same thing. It doesn't really say that they are more important, it simply said they're being introduced. Okay, so opposed to physical education, it appears that this can cause obesity in some measures to alleviate, incorporating some physical courses, but it says that they are pushing it out of the curriculum. So this doesn't work. It says they're not in the curriculum. So how can you add something? So it would have to be after, extra curriculum, etc. So not too bad. Fat accumulation. Okay. There's some things here I'm not really sure what this means. A quarter, implementing a rudimentary form. So, and that sentence, I'm not really clear what that means. So, not too bad. But what I've seen here is that what a number of you have done, you've added things to the rubric that are not there. It doesn't say some of the things that you have included. All you need for your introduction is to simply restate the topic, briefly answer question 1, question 2. So some of you have added things which is not in the rubric, and some of you have paraphrased but not strictly correctly. Okay, so not too bad, but I can see we have a little bit of work to do. So next video I'm going to look at the winner of this particular competition for Intro 73. I'm going to do a complete assessment, and I'll be including my Band 9 example essay as well. So, hope that helps. We'll have a new topic soon, introduction number 74. I'll see you later.